Make sure the drive shaft is square in the machine. This is accomplished by measuring the distance between the edge of the drive shaft and the end of the discharge frame. Both sides should be equal. Your machine will arrive to you with the sprockets just really loosely tightened onto the drive shaft. Take an Allen wrench, it's a 5/32 T-handle. Just loosen the two screws so that they turn freely. Then take your 1/4-inch keys and insert them into the drive shaft. Next, slide each sprocket out to the edge of the machine, line up the keyway in the sprocket, and slide it over the key. Next, line up the inside of the sprocket to the edge of the inside of the track on each side. We'll leave the set screws loose for now. We'll tighten those later on in the process. Next, we're going to lay the belt out in front of the machine with the top of the belt facing down. And you'll know the top is facing down when you have the stamped in logo facing down toward the floor. And then you'll know the correct end of the belt that goes in first because the radius of the side wing enters the machine first. Next, we're going to insert the leading edge of the belt, which is the edge with the radius, into the lower return track and engage it into the radius of the sprocket. And then we'll continue inserting the belt until we get back to the infeed. Once you get to the infeed sprockets, you'll need a helper to help get the belt engaged in the radius of the sprocket, and then help to bring the belt around. Be careful with your hands in there. As the belt comes off the sprocket and starts returning, the belt has to be just held up a little bit to be able to get onto the top track. And then continue bringing the belt all the way back around to the drive sprockets. Once the belt gets back up to the drive sprocket, as you feed it forward, it has to be moved into the first available radius in the sprocket. Once it's in there, then take a look at your belt and make sure that the number of empty radiuses left and the number of wheels matches up. So I've got a radius here for that wheel, a wheel here and a radius here, so I'm matched up good. Sometimes the belt might be a little bit long and you'd have to remove a pitch at that point so that the correct number match up between wheels and sprocket radius. Now to continue to just advance the belt forward until this belt shaft lines up with the two slots that are in the frame that the drive shaft is going through. That's the place that the shaft is going to be removed out the opposite side of the drive. Then the belt components are going to be brought together and the shaft reinserted to tie the belt together. So right there you can see I'll be able to pull this cotter pin and I'll be able to remove this shaft out that side of the machine. Now the final step is to splice the belt ends together. So I'm going to pull this cotter pin out and set the components right up on top of the belt. Push the shaft, remove the washer and this wheel, and then continue to move the shaft out the other side of the machine. Bring your side wings together. Reinsert your shaft. Back it out so it's just flush with the side wing. Bring your first hinge plate up, the one with the barrel that's closest to the side wing. And then drop your other one in and insert the shaft. Line up your side wings on this side. Continue to push it through. Get the shaft until it sticks out probably a half of an inch on this side. Reinsert that wheel. Continue to push it all the way through. Put your washer back on. Then reinsert your cotter pin. And then crimp the cotter pin. The last step now will be to make sure that we get the belt into the center of the machine. And I've left it offset from center purposely here to illustrate, after you install the belt, the steps that can be taken to get it back into the middle of the machine. You'll remember early on we left the sprockets loose so that we were able to move them, and now is the reason that you'll see why. You can take that belt with the sprockets and you can move it back and forth. So I'm just going to move the sprockets and belt until the side wings are flush with the edge of the rail on both sides, so it's nice and square in there. And then I'm just going to rotate the belt forward until I hit the first set screw, and I'll tighten that in place. I'll rotate till I hit the first one on the other side, and I'll tighten that in place also. Then rotate to the third one here. And the final one on this side. Now you can see the belt is nice and square, flush with both sides of the frame of the machine.